We are going to hop straight into this one. Casva versus B. B back on the grind. Not only that is a hype detail, it's the fact that we're back on Mongolian Heights. B is back on Delhi after what he done yesterday. And his opponent is Casva playing as the French. A civ that we never get to see on this map. And I'm kind of surprised we don't, considering how powerful they are, right? Like the Hulks, the early Hulks in Feudal Age for the French should in theory be very powerful, but I think it can be a little bit of a bait, and that's exactly what a lot of pros identified. The reason we don't necessarily see the French on this map that often is because going for Hulks on the waterfront can easily backfire, considering you don't have the flexibility to shift away. Someone can drop an outpost and just snipe you out. And if that happens, it doesn't take much effort, considering that the Hulks, you know, while they are chunky, do take bonus damage from outpost defenses. So kind of curious to see if Caswell will play into the waterfront and how he will do it. Because you are also up against the Delhi. Delhi that can beat your ass into the ground if you prolong in the Dark Age. It's a very interesting dynamic at play on the water in this matchup, actually, when you think about it. You've got the Delhi dominating in the very beginning of Dark Age because their fishing boats can fire arrows with 7 damage per shot. Then, immediately in the Feudal, it flips around. Of course, it is a very expensive entry cost once you reach Feudal, but Casva, as the French, will have the ability to go into early Hulks. Very pricey unit, but incredibly effective for about I think it's 900 or 1,000 health, sorry. 1,000 health and 100 damage per shot. Having the ability to basically just obliterate any docks that you've built. So, kind of curious to see what's going to happen here. Caswell is opening up by going for the dock on the south side. Hasn't walled this crossing just yet, though. And shouldn't really need to. I feel like the fishing assault from the Delhi is a little bit of a bait. Like, you can do damage once you get up to about 9. If you're lower than 9, I don't feel like you kill fishing boats quick enough to outdo the healing, especially ever since they removed the drive-by element. Because remember, whenever you fight naval now, if you attack something, you stop moving. And I think that was actually a very big crippling nerf to civs like the Delhi here in the very hyper early with the fishing boats. And then you think to the likes of, say, even the Mongols in the Feudal Age with their archer ships, and also especially the Rus. Meanwhile, it was a buff for civs that have to be a little bit more static. So I think one big benefactor in this would have been the English with their galleys, as well as the HRE for that matter, because galleys just essentially just got swole because of that. And then on top of it, the French have benefited a lot because they actually end up being the only civ in the Feudal Age that has a ship that can move and shoot. Because remember, the Hulks, although they are built early for this civ, they are not an archer ship. They're an attack ship. And archer ships, or arrow ships rather, are the ones that are not allowed to move and shoot. So, yeah, this is going to be a pretty potent play. And I love what Kaz has done to set this up as well. Not being greedy, drops the outpost as well to defend the area. Doesn't actually care about the crossing at all. And I think this is kind of better value, really. The outpost is a strong defense. There's no way that a Delhi player can breach it early on. He now doesn't have the ability to raid him on land to try and torch this down ahead of time because you can just garrison. Compared to, say, if you walled the crossing, like, if you think about the cost of doing so, you're going to need how much wood to do that. So, of course, you're going to pay the initial 15, and then 5 for each additional. I'd say you're going to pay about maybe 25, 30, and then on top of it, you're probably going to want to do the X so you can't come upriver or go across with foot infantry. So, overall, I'd say you spend about maybe at least half the price of an outpost, possibly more, in fact, because you have to separate wall each side. And you don't necessarily get the same layer of protection against the Delhi at this stage. So I much prefer this strategy. It also means that he doesn't have to go wall all the entrances, right? Like, he'd have to come down here and do this side as well to fully prevent any sort of rush on land. And I love this out of Kazva. This is cool. He pulls 5 villages forward. The reason you do this, you might want to go for additional docks, but even if you don't, it's the fishing gains. Look at the rate that you gather with this fishing boat. You see that number right there? 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. You've seen the difference here, right? These boys, with their nets, are quicker than these fishing boats here. I'm not even exaggerating. It is actually better for you to use villages in this situation if you can. Of course, you don't always want to do that because you want the fishing boats as well, because you have to think about, like, the dock is kind of another town center, right? It's a resource gathering production building, which usually only have town centers of that. So, obviously, definitely push fishing boats as well. But it is definitely beneficial if you need to get food on land still, to use the fish instead. And that's why Kazwa pulls here, probably with the intent to either drop a full TC or establish secondary dock line, maybe even a proxy base. I mean, we haven't seen that in a while. And also, now Kazwa will go back for the palisading, considering how bolstered his eco now feels. It looks like B will be able to beat Kazwa on a tech up, but he won't be able to do much with it on the waterfront. If he actually wants to get some value, he's got to turn his attention towards land here. So, Curious to see if he's actually going to look towards that, if B is maybe thinking of a later timing. It is possible that he could try to cruise up into Castle Age fast as the Delhi. But realistically, you want to get on the map ASAP. You want to start gathering around the sacred sites. You want to prep yourself for some sort of push. I don't necessarily think you want this game to drag late, just because the French do have the ability to very rapidly boom up in this type of configuration into Imperial. And if you do both go Imperial, you're inherently at a disadvantage to the Delhi because you can't just instantly gain all your goodies, right? You can't rush Imperial the same way other civs can. You have to eventually cruise into it. So Castle Age aggression is going to be very important for B, possibly even Feudal. But I don't know how feasible Feudal is going to be simply because that aforementioned Hulk. The Hulks that passes here will deny everything. If you get 3 Hulks, you put each of them in the crossings, there's nothing that B can do to actually get through into a castle. Now, last time we watched B... What? Yes, it's a Tower of Victory! I was about to say, last time we watched B, we got some funky stuff involving scholars with the Mass Healing Brigade. Not this time around. Oh no, this time around, it is a Tower of Victory play. This is a landmark that we never see. And for those who, because you haven't seen it, don't know how it works, as you can see there, it increases melee and ranged infantry's attack speed by 20% permanently if they just clip inside this AoE tool. Huge buffer. The reason we don't see it, by the way, is because the Dome of Faith is oppressively good for the Delhi. The Dome of Faith giving a 50% discount on scholars. It doesn't sound like much in the grand scheme of things. You would probably be forgiven for saying, I actually want a Tower of Victory because that's going to be amazing late game. But think about this realistically. Tower of Victory would be great late game, but how are you going to get to that late game? Usually the reason you go for Dome of Faith is because it informs all your plays between the 7 to 20 minute mark, right? It fuels you going out to these sacred sites without sacrificing a heavy investment in scholars. It allows you to get double the amount of scholars out because instead of paying 150 gold per, you're paying 75. And everything the Delhi want to do involves scholars, whether it's early healing strategies, whether it's going for tech ups, right, because you need to garrison to get the increased research speeds, whether it's playing towards sacred sites, playing towards relics, like most things, there's almost anything, in fact, even the garrisoning for efficient production to get the racks to be doubly effective. Like, all this is fueled by scholars. It's why we never see Tower of Victory, but this time is different. And I'm wondering, is there something he knows that we don't? Because I don't think the attack speed aura affects torching. It definitely doesn't look like it does. So this isn't going to be a very quick breach coming out for B. And remember that there's already an outpost down and a Hulk is being built. So Kasva is going to plow through here. B, I don't know, man. This feels like a slight misread. I don't know if this is going to work. He's going to try to at least get the outpost up to insulate himself. The first Hulk is riding up river as the Parseid is getting ready to be set on fire. But these spearmen are going to die in one hit each. A cycle around could insta-snipe a bunch here. In fact, the outpost hasn't even been built yet. Kaz on the move. He's not cycling, though. And it looks like the spearmen are tanking the fire. So outpost will be constructed, and Kaz will move straight past with the 5-man garrison out. Uh-oh. That's an expensive loss. B, he's actually tricked him here. He blocks him. He can't get out of range of the outpost. He's stuck under the fire here. Gets in the corner just in time, but heavy damage done. And this first Hulk is not going to be a great investment for Kasva. B, not able to keep him in range of the outpost, but denies him being able to shift entirely away. Denies him the ability to essentially cycle charge around for double fire, and it means although he loses 2 or 3 of these fishing boats and 1 or 2 spearmen, it's totally worthwhile. And after that, now a secondary outpost going up. B, maybe he's onto something here. We misread this. We didn't give him the appropriate credit, and he is earning our respect here. The double outpost, insulating himself, now denying the ability for Hulks to really do anything for Kasva, and opening up a floodgate straight towards Kasva's base. And that's exactly what he'll switch over now. Double archery range going down. Needs to prep a defense force. B needs to make a transition. Spearman alone won't win you this. You need to get in a horseman now. But instead of doing that, look what B is doing. B is rushing up. This is actually pretty smart. So think about this realistically, what just happened from Kasva. He invested over 500 resources into this Hulk. 540 to be specific. He's about to invest another 540. He's invested over half the cost of a Castle Age tech up into units that aren't really going to do that much. Maybe the Hulk can make its way through the outpost in theory, you think, but look at the Arislets upgrade. You're at 8 tower range. Compare that to the Hulk's 6 tower range. You can't do anything now. Kasva is stuck in the mud, and it means that he's going to be lagging vastly behind B in the coming minutes. Oy, oy, oy. So what next, Kasva? He'll at least get a defense force up. My concern is this defense force is a bait in itself. I mean, he saw the spearmen. He pushed archers. He's going to try to sneak the outpost. This is a smart play, actually. This could maybe deny some equity away from B. But Kazva, a little bit too reluctant to get closer. Doesn't actually get the full value yet. And it looks like because he's walled him in, B won't have anywhere to run and hide. But I don't think B necessarily cares now. Like, he's kind of realized his potential value. I do love this play coming out of Kazva over here, though. Walling in the Sacred Site to deny extra equity, because remember that B playing as the Deli will get not only the normal 100 gold per minute trickle from capturing Sacred Sites, but he can also capture them in Feudal, and he can get 150 gold instead due to Sanctity giving a 50% bonus. So big denial there. Love that Kazva's still on the fish here. I think this is keeping him competitive. And now with the outpost in place, punishment coming out upon B, but B at a state where I feel like this is paid for itself. Like, you had, what, 9 fishing boats? They've returned a decent amount at this point. You also think about the cost of a fishing boat, right? Like, 75 wood each. Like, you've invested in 2 hulks on the other side. I think you're fine with this. I think you're absolutely fine. And he's going to be looking damn fine. House of Learning already being constructed. B with a quick castle age timing that Kazva cannot even hope to match now. Instead, he will be lagging behind. If he stabilizes in the next 3 to 4 minutes, if he consolidates forces around the crossings and denies an immediate entrance to B, I still think this is good for Kazva because he can catch up, because he'll have fishing when B won't. But that's the big if, right? If you guard these passes, if you buffer off the initial aggression, great. But as it stands right now, there is still a direct route right into your base, Kazva, that you haven't insulated at all. And you might be punished for that. And B's going for the secondary TC. Okay, so scrap what I said. Like, B doesn't even need that first timing. It's not even a rush game for him anymore. He's scaling. He's going to sacrifice the fishing fleet. He's going to build up on land. It is 1 TC versus... No, it's 2 TCs versus 2 TCs. Kazva! He switches it about. He knows the feeling for this game. He understands too well that in this situation, if B doesn't outright aggress him, if he's willing to sacrifice the fishing boats, he must be getting value elsewhere. Kazva... although he may be a little bit rusty against B because B hasn't been playing that much at the moment, he knows him all too well. Like, especially when you get B on Mongolian Heights, it's time and time again the same thing for him. He wants to exhaust the map. He wants to drain as much as possible. He wants to take all of his side and then find a small chunk of yours to make sure that when the game goes hyper late, you have less than he does. And Kazva will not allow for that. And he won't be behind by much on the castle age up as well. Moving up fast. There it is. The bank. Heavy amount of food coming in via the fishing boats will allow him to now push into the guild hall in the blink of an eye. And this push by B it's flimsy. It's only 1 Rax pushing man-at-arms. Obviously double effective, but I don't think it's going to be good enough. And Kazva now will react with the walls. Could benefit from getting a few knights out in the field as well, to be honest with you. Instead, he's just going to settle for insulating himself. We did highlight he needed to do this, and it is a solid solution here, actually. The walls in the... Yeah, this is really nice. Look at the layout. There's nowhere B can quickly go to access the base now. So he built these man-at-arms, and it's going to take him 1,000,001 years to even get there. This is pretty awesome. Let's see what Kazva's next switch up is. Wallah. Oh my god! Kazva! He will be in! Oh man, this is revenge for all of B's mischief. Prison Warden. Prison Warden. Is it time for my yard play yet? Can I come out of my cell? Please? Warden! Can't hear you. I'm gone. Oh, what a play. What a play. And now this Scholar, can he be sniped? Well, he hasn't got the GG movement speed. He's not zooming around at a million miles an hour. Whoa, Kazva. Sidestep it. Almost goes back in range, but he will now be able to get rid of the Scholar. Also, keep in mind what B is doing here is not cheap. Remember that he didn't go for the Dome of Faith, so he's paying full price for all these Scholars. It's 150 gold per. And he doesn't have either Sacred Site. As it stands right now, I think he has maybe, yeah, 1 Relic banked. This is not good for B. It's a very pricey investment. And it feels like it may be him just kind of tricking himself a little bit, over-obsessing over the relics. I understand why he wants them, but he needs to guard them better. Maybe a few more man-at-arms before this push would have made sense. Now the archers are going to move apart. Oh, no. No. This has got to be against the Geneva Conventions. This guy's a prisoner of war. Hold your fire. Hold your fire. Hold your fire. They didn't hold their fire. He even put his weapon down. Come on. All right, Arbiter is in the field. Kazva now having the answer. Man-at-Arms are going to start to be dispensed with quickly here. Dispatch will run, but meanwhile, north side, Kazva at least upgrading the outpost defenses to be mighty frustrating now with the Springwood upgrade, and it looks like B really wants that relic, but it ain't going to be for free. As it stands, B, he's actually building a big surplus of resources, but I feel like he's baiting himself if he's thinking Imperial. I don't think you rush Imperial here. We've talked about this already. The Delhi is like the worst Civ for rushing Imperial. It takes them way too long to realize the value of it. And in this type of matchup, when Kazva's not that far behind you, if he sees you sink 3,600 resources into a tech up, he's going to jump your bones. You're going to be done. And the Spring, man, okay, this, I've got to give credit to Kazva. The denial here, 150 gold taken away, another 100 gold taken away. This is per minute, by the way. You've just lost 3 Man-at-Arms going for this. You've lost the Monk as well. So far, you've lost over 500 resources going for this. That's before we talk about the passive income you're missing out on. And you haven't done anything to stop Kazva in this area yet. And while that's happening, Kazva went in with the archers as well. Just trying to be a pain in B's ass. Kazva right now, leading economically as expected. It's an 8-point lead. Remember, he does have the fishing boat still. And it looks like the Bagglers are coming out. B trying to fight up against the Hulks. It looks like Kazva is going to back away. Doesn't want to fight while there is that passive heal coming out. And the boom ships now being built by B. Boom ships that I honestly don't remember the last time I saw them. I feel like it's been 1,000,001 years since I last saw an explosive ship utilized. So looking forward to seeing what B can do with this. Or maybe it's just going to be an instant reminder of just how bad they are. And all the while B is doing that, now switching up into the elephants being pushed out, is becoming a problem. This is an interesting strategy with the Tower of Victory, by the way. It's why he played hard into Man-at-Arms immediately, is he wants full value because he went Hone Blades, which is now researched, and then he's got the Tower of Victory. So he's just looking to maximize DPS. It does add up a lot, by the way. Like, you can see the damage there. The Galige doing 16 damage with the +1 from the Blacksmith tech, on top of the fact that he's now at 1.25 seconds attack speed. Problem is, the Arbalitriers counter you out. I feel like B, it's an interesting idea, but this was the wrong matchup. The Arbalitriers handle your ass firmly, and you have no solution to it. And as the game goes on, this gets tougher. You can see already, actually, B did get the Gambesons, so he has the chunkiness on these lads. And it won't be long before he's up into Imperial and get his hands on the stirrups. And oh no, B! The Fort Keep, it can't go up. The Man-at-Arms were not a good enough distraction. And the Arbitrary count is getting concerning. I don't know how B holds this. Kazva. Oh, nice force march to get in. Kazva is going to have to sidestep this, move back for a moment, and Knights will focus upon the villages while the Arbitriers deal with the Man-at-Arms. Man-at-Arms now turning to deal with the Knights. As they clap you down one by one. Textiles is going to make B's troops chunky here, so you should allow them to get the V, keep up on the front line. There's only 1 or 2 Knights remaining. However, the Arbitraries can refocus fire here. They can easily finish you off. It might sacrifice most of the crossbows to do so, but just denying the keep for another 2 minutes could be big for Kazva. And it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen here. 1 more villager to go. He's down. And that's a heavy eco loss for no gains to B. Now trailing by over 20 villagers. With this many Arbitraries left, he'll clean up the Man-at-Arms. He'll scare away the Tower Elephants as well. And he'll look to replenish his forces with a much more superior economy to that of B's. And that means B has to start doing this. The Scholars have to come out. He has to buff these boys up. He has to make sure he keeps them alive, gets more bang for buck per unit, because he can't afford the same amount that Kazva can now. Dows. Just cheekily hiding here. And he did sneak the relic. Okay, I like this play. Maybe a missed trick out of Kazva, actually, because I think he still hasn't gone for the monastery. A little bit surprised by this. I was expecting him to go for monastery just to grab at least 2 relics, and it looks like he did, but it was too late. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Then again, this is kind of Kazva's own fault. He didn't want to find, he didn't want to reach into his pocket and pay the 200 wood a little bit quicker to get the Monk out. Had he chosen to do so, he could have capped the Sacred Site, got the first relic, got a second one, and been having 300 gold per minute in a situation where, yeah, your opponent would have 4 relics in comparison, but it'd be 300 gold per minute versus 400 gold per minute, simply because B still can't access the Sacred Site. Fishing boats saving the day, and that Bagler is just dead. He got baited out. I don't think this must have been an attack clip by accident. He's gonna live though. No way. No way he gets away with that. The Hulk's gonna chase. No incendiary ship anymore, so this should be an easy picking for Kazva to finish off, and after that, it should be the dot going down. Of course, B will be happy the value found down here just by sneaking that relic back across the crossing. Kazva. There you go. We're going for the finish now. Straight in the jugular. Knights also riding across will look to burn through here, and it looks like he's getting ready to flood on through. I like this from Kazva, actually. Branching off a few Knights, he's playing French as you'd expect. The issue with the Deli with this type of composite build B's gone for is it's all static. The man-at-arms can move incredibly fast with Force March, yes. But at the end of the day, if you choose to do that, long-term, away from each other, like your elephants aren't catching up. So the only time I'm expecting Force March to be utilized is to get a flank attack, which we already saw used once, right? It's when he just overwhelmed the Arbitrators to stay on top of them. But as we also saw, Kazva, because he had the Gambesons, he wasn't going to be cleaned up quickly. And this is still my concern. The Gambesons on these Arbitrators make them an unanswered unit. The Pavises as well. Like, there's no way that B can directly fight against Arbitrators at this current count. And that's why he needs to switch up. Spearman, not a bad answer, to be honest. Remember that you do produce them quicker. You can see 11 seconds instead of 16 seconds. And he is actually starting to ramp up the racks count. Still only elephants as his range composite coming out. A few scholars on the front. I like that he actually garrisons in here so you can start getting the checkups. And of course, actually, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool out of B. I've got to give credit where credit's due. It's not just about the dock. Look what else he's doing. It's the village fortresses. He's getting it quite fast because he has 3 scholars banked inside and daisy chained into this fort keep. This is a pretty cool play. Something that I don't really see many players do. But it's cost efficient when you consider how much a moss costs, right? 100 wood? Yeah, it's totally worth doing. This is pretty cool. I love that B keeps doing this, by the way. Like, this is the second time we've watched him play Delhi on Mongolian Heights. Last time it was maybe a little bit too hard into the elephants and the fun time with the patters, right, with the healing. This time around, though, you can see how he's innovating quickly. How he's experimenting. B just making sure that his elephants have plenty of fiber in their diet as they'll munch on these wooden structures. And oh, no. Kazva, get out, get out. It's too late. Who would win, an elephant or a battleship? I think we just got our answer. Good God. But Kazva, he'll stabilize in this area. Red Palace will make sure there's no flanking attack to the east side. New walls going up from B, as Kazva was not able to find too much value of those knights in the end. However, he does have an entrance on the north side, and that is concerning me that B hasn't actually protected there. In theory, he could get a keep up over here to deny entrance. Yes, you have got this keep in the center, makes it a little bit awkward to sneak past, but remember that north side, like, Kazva can still just wrap out with a few knights and dive into your base here. So it's something that B does have to be a little bit concerned about. As it stands, though, Kazva is on guard on the center. Seems appropriate when speaking about the French player that we go a little bit of French. Speaking of the French, this knight will scream Sacre Bleu. They'll say, yes, we are blue, as he will run away. The yellow belly coward in the situation. Now it looks like he wants that sacred site, but it's not going to necessarily be for free. He's going to lose a few troops to just even get in here. In fact, the scholar, Kazva. Oh, he's not targeting it. That would have been a freebie there, and that would have denied the capture a little bit longer. So he could still go for this, though, with the Veteran Royal Knight. But it looks like the outpost is eventually going to be going down here. I'd like to go for the Fortify upgrade, but it feels greedy he waited this long, so it's not even worthwhile. At this point, you might as well cancel this, because it's just going to be 100 wasted stone. Okay, B done you a favor there. B actually done you a favor. If you waited 2 more seconds, it would have been 100 stone just pointlessly wasted by Kazva. Oh my god, B. It's happening. It's happening. He's reaching critical massive Ellie boys, but what's he going to do with them? There's a real question mark for me. We've seen him throw away a lot of innocent, beautiful creatures needlessly in the past. I don't want to see him do it again. It's just mean. Ford keep is down. Interesting that B never defended this. Remember that he did actually complete the tech up, right? So he could have actually been pushing villagers out of here. Seeing a critical mass. Big boy coming out. Arbitrary count up to 34. The Golden Hat upgrades in place because Casva, remember, he's in Imperial. B is playing in Castle for good reason as well. We talked about this already. When you play the Deli, you don't want to rush Imperial. You want to cruise into it. And the way you cruise into it is you reach pop cap and then go. And B has only just arrived at pop cap while Casva chose to boom up much quicker. One man at arms has been a pain in the ass. Building some palisade walls to stop him getting on the goal. Wasn't able to stop him entirely though. Shiv's out. Maybe if you sent 3 or 4 here, this would be a little bit threatening, but one man at arms alone isn't really going to do much damage to Casva's eco lines. Keep up on the center from Casva. Trying to hold in this area. Elephants chasing in. Pavisa's up. Arbitrary is holding for the moment. The wraparound coming in. The backstab B. He closes upon him. Elephants one side, swords the other, slamming into the Arbitraries. Not a healthy front line right now for Casva. Hand Cannoneers trying to keep them alive. The premium unit being healed up by the monks in the meantime, and barely being focus fired by B. But at the end of the day, B just has too many troops here. Casva is going to have to fall back behind the walls. The question is, how high is the price for B to get rid of this keep? He has to commit to the elephants, which means that the cannons can target him out. And they do have the walls that they're hidden behind. So you're going to see a few more elephants dying. Avert your eyes if you are not a fan of elephant abuse. Because that's exactly what's happening here. Trebuchet will be taken out. Repair Force being ignored is going to get some work done here. And will cost B maybe 2 or 3 more of these elephants. Maybe even more than that, actually. Oh my god, they're dying fast. They're getting targeted out. He doesn't have the heals in the right place. And that means it's going to cost him a few more elephants. This is big from Castle, by the way. He throws away a lot of troops, but remember how pricey each of these elephants are. They're not cheap. They're 1,000 resources, as you can see here. 400 food, 600 gold. Definitely adds up. For B, there's a reason he plays towards this strategy. We know what he likes to do, right? Like, he wants to try and use any sort of resource he's not going to run out of. And food and gold are the 2 things the Deli shouldn't be running out of anytime soon. So Keep finally goes down. Casva a little bit delayed with his pull. Does need to wall this, by the way. This is very dangerous. We just saw people run through here. If B realizes that, he doesn't even need to go through the palisade defenses. He can just go around them. Casva, making sure it'd be hard to go around, is going to build another keep. Stabilize it for the moment, but B gaining small amounts of ground and now moving forward with his own aggressive keep. I say aggressive, more about stabilizing in this area, but you can see the difference in numbers now. B is close to pop cap again. Casva is nowhere near ready. And look at the numbers right now, actually. This is concerning. This is classic B. This is the way that he likes to play. We warned about this. This is what we see him do every time on Mongolian Heights. He just tries to exploit the map, build surplus resources, and dry his opponent out. And the issue with what Casva done here is when he chose Imperial without being pop-capped, he left himself vulnerable to a resource drain situation, which is exactly why he needs to start gaining ground and gaining ground soon. Otherwise, he's going to deplete everything behind his base. Not that there was much there to begin with. As we can see, there was no back tree lines at all. Nice move the cannons, though. Will deny the keep. And B, hesitant to commit here. You have to remember the cannons move, well, basically quicker than the elephants, so they'll always be able to disengage. They do have a distinct range advantage over these poor little elephants, with double the tower range. And you keep going up from Casva, able to pay for it, just with the stone outcropping alone as he starts to cool his way towards the center crossing. Is going to force a defensive keep out of B on his side of the river. And a push forward, a movement in, forced march, the gap closed upon them, is going to force the villagers back. Casva has to peel this one off. Hasn't deleted the keep, will now finally do it. Doesn't want to lose the ult on the stone. The cannons have backed up behind the keep that's already been established. Now up to 5 cannons. This is going to be a problem for the elephants. The elephants are not a good solution on their own. You need man-at-arms that can rush down these troops, but you also need some sort of siege to get through these walls. Otherwise, Casva is just eventually going to bleed you dry. I mean, we said that Casva, you know, yes, his resources looking bad, but even when he loses all those arbor trees, he keeps the most important thing alive, and he understands how he wins this game now. Just get stone, get keeps, build cannons. This is some super cheesy artillery strat, but it seems fitting when your opponent is trying to cheese you with elephants. New keep construct underway. Spear stabbing in, pushing his opponent away. And it looks like he won't be able to stop this keep going up. I mean, it's too pricey. You can't commit to this B. every time he tries, he loses 2 more elephants. In fact, he's going to lose all the elephants. This is a mistake. Trying to go for the forward keep. Man-at-arms arriving. Maybe that can be the difference maker here, but the price is going to be high either way. Elephants being targeted out once again. Villagers are going to complete their duties here. 8 left alive to construct the keep up. And the man-at-arms flanking from the north are too late from B. Cannons can keep backing away. And Spearman, I love this from Kazva. It's choke point control. The forced march is only good if you can actually move past. These Spearmen in the choke points deny you that ability and mean that you can't even kill off the cannons. And that's why Kazva is slowly winning this. It's not about the baby cannons, it's about the big boy cannons. And now the torch is whipped out by B, trying to bring down the keep. The cannons are going to make that price high. Practically all elephants dead now. B, his army power is shrinking fast here. The man-at-arms are going to be easy targets as well. There's boiling oil being hurled out from the keep, adding up the damage to Robotiquins. Oh no! No, the scores! They peel back just in time. Man-at-arms a little bit slower though. Keep on fire, but still alive. Kazva with the clutch Robotiquin switch up has countered everything that B can do. What a way to do it as well. I feel like B, month plus ago, was the guy who was building Robotiquins first of the French, right? He was seeing potential value in it after the Mangonel nerf as well. And now Kazva giving him a taste of his own medicine. And a nice reaction out of B, because losing 16 scholars there kind of loses you the game. Think about what that was to him, by the way. Like 16 scholars paying 150 gold each. That is 2,400 gold just down the drain. That's a pretty high price. Essentially, the Robotiquins killing those units alone would have paid for themselves, in fact. Now the cannons rolling in. Kazva looking to dismantle everything that B has in this area. B with only 8 man-at-arms. I don't think that's good enough. In fact, if he tries to rush forward to just snipe them out the torches, the cannons will just pick him off before he can pick them off. Especially with Robotiquins here now. Kazva, look at this formation. Gunpowder enthusiast. I feel like everyone is just becoming a little bit more American these days, as they all seem to just have their own arsenal of guns. You can tell that, like, honestly, I feel like every age, if we ever get that Vegas land we've talked about with EGC, first thing the AoE 4 pros are doing when they hit Vegas is hitting the gun range. You can just tell by this composition right here. This is absurd to look at. Oh, man. What a way for Kazva to do this. I think B is donezo in this one. There's just nothing left. It was a nice idea. I think this was definitely more logical than the previous attempt he made up against Wham, regardless of how that one turned out. But Kazva just had his number. And he made it look all too easy. With the artillery crawl backed up by a composite of spears to just run any sort of assault from man-at-arms. You can see the time's coming. B has to rush in. Forced march to try and get around the side as the Zoomers come in, but the Robotiquins are going to make short work of that. Starting to focus fire upon him. Hand cannoneers as well. Army dead. B dead. Kazva will reign supreme on Mongolian Heights. B at least keeps it interesting with the Delhi experimentation. But Kazva, with what feels like a siege meta we don't really get to see too often anymore, will take the win.